Here's how to break out of your 9 to 5 and do exactly what you love. Now, I'm not talking about being famous on YouTube. I'm talking, for me, the most proud moment in my life was taking that leap of faith and trying to become a runner, trying to become good at being a long distance runner, and then subsequently doing that for a living for the last 10 years. That's the most proudest thing I've done in my life, because I went back to doing exactly what I loved to do when I was a kid, exactly what I wanted to be when I was a kid, when I was at school, when the teachers would ask me what I want to be. Number one was I wanted to be a pro footballer. Number two was I wanted to be a runner. So I went back and I lived that dream. I'm still living that dream. The way you can do that, and this most simple, straightforward, fastest advice I can give you, if that's what you really want to do, and you've got to think it through, you've got to make sure that you don't just want it when your job sucks at the moment, or your boss is on your back or whatever, but you genuinely want this and you're willing to put a plan in place, put a strategy in place, and create the time and space to allow you to really go at that in a sensible way. And I'll tell you how to do that. I'll tell you exactly how I did it right now. Now, when I went cycle touring in 2009, I was going to go for 3 months, and I ended up spending 12 months just cycle touring every single day of the week. And I would get on my bike at the crack of dawn, as soon as the sun came up, and I would ride up through the sunrise and literally ride until the sun went down the next day. The sun went down the same day. And within that time, just cycling. So 150, 200, 250 kilometers a day some days. And I'd only stop for lunch and for breakfast and for dinner, and then I'd find a hotel, and sometimes I'd overrun that and be cycling in the dark for a couple of hours in order to get to the next hotel to try and find somewhere safe to sleep in Southeast Asia. What you get from that is, and this you don't often get in the Western world, because we're so kind of fixated on kind of paying the bills, paying the mortgage, paying the rent, paying the gas and electric bill, that you don't give yourself this time and this time alone to really think. And what that gave me was the time enough to think, what am I really doing with my life, and how happy I am with my life, and what would I really prefer to be doing if I could do absolutely everything. And there's that great question from Alan Watts: what would you do if money was no object? And what I realized from that trip, and from asking yourself the same questions over and over and over again, you start to come up with the same answers over and over again, which is, of course, will happen, but it needs enough time for you to spend on your own. And it's a meditative journey, it's a spiritual awakening. And what I came to the point of thinking was, I love my career in recruitment because it's exactly like sport. I went from doing sport pretty much straight into recruitment. And it's like, the faster you work, the harder you work, and the smarter you work, the more you get paid than the next guy next to you, who is clocking in at 9 o'clock in the morning and clocking out at 5 o'clock and not really thinking about his job. I get paid more than him, I get rewarded, and that's how sport is. It's a meritocracy. So it really resonated with me, but it wasn't the journey that I wanted to be on. The journey that I wanted to be on was, I wanted to pursue what I really wanted to be when I was a kid, which is a professional runner. So I promised myself on one of my last cycle journeys from Bangkok to Singapore, I promised myself that I would start running when I got back at the start of 2010. I remember getting back to the 3rd of January, I went for a run. I thought I'd just go for an hour run. I was out there for 400 meters. It literally took me 5 minutes, and I had to walk back to the house. I'd done something to my quad. The cycle fitness hadn't translated into running fitness, and I was laughed at. But it lit a flame inside me that became a roaring fire, and that roaring fire subsequently led on to me being completely obsessed with running again, and realizing that I used to be good as a kid, or at least good enough that I've got a massive progression curve here. If I think about it, if I implement some running, get some consistency going, and then implement some structure, I can actually see some quick gains, and that will get me into a positive feedback loop. And then I'll be able to train towards a 5K, then be able to train towards a 10K, and then go from there. And that's exactly what happened. So I got back from Thailand, where my base was in Southeast Asia. I got back to Manchester in April 2010. By that point, I'd been training running for 4 months. I had all that cycle fitness, so that had helped a lot over the last year. And I trained for a 5K specifically, and I ran 18:30 for 5K, which is okay. You know, it's like 3:45 per kilometer or something like that. And then a couple of weeks later, I went back, same park run in Manchester. Can't remember the exact park, but it'll be on Power of 10. And then I went back and I got 16:30, which began to be a bit more serious. That's about like 6:20 per kilometer or a little bit more. And then I was like, okay, I'll sign up for the Bupa 10K, and there wasn't enough bibs, so I got one off a friend and ran under somebody else's name. I can't remember the name, but the results are still there, and it was about 39:50 that I ran, so under 40 minutes. And as I said to somebody the other day, my thinking then was, well, at first I got an email of a friend who, I was so proud of being a runner again and kind of getting that physique back of a runner, that I posted a picture on Facebook. Somebody came back to me and said, why don't you do this ultra run in Spain? And it was 50K uphill. So I got into ultra running, I found out what it was like, I saw people doing it, I wanted to be just like them. And so I got into ultra running, but my thinking was very simply, I can run 10K in 40 minutes. So all it is training, and then I can run 40 minutes times 10 for 100K, and I can run 4 minute per kilometer pace for 100 kilometers. That was my thinking. There's logic in that, and it is just a case of building your endurance and building your stamina. And that's exactly what happened. And over the period of 6 or 7 years, I became a 6 hour, 40 minute 100K runner, and then represented Great Britain and England. And it took me that amount of time, but within 3 years, I was a professional runner because I was so obsessed with running, and I'd learned from recruitment that it was a numbers game in terms of approaching sponsors, in terms of putting yourself out there. Got lucky with Twitter and social media, and Instagram came along, and Facebook, so it was then about pictures and videos and documenting your journey and life. So I don't mind that as much as kind of like, I prefer just to win races, and that would be great, but it's all part of the game now, so you've just got to embrace that, and you've got to be good at it. And again, if you're competitive enough to be running races and trying to win races, you're probably competitive enough to try and get more followers than somebody else on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is you're trying to do. You've probably got the discipline enough to post a video every day on YouTube and a reel or a post or whatever on Instagram. You've probably got that discipline. So there's a lot of the factors that actually kind of cross over really well. And distance runners are very introverted, so they don't want to show off. They don't want to be brash. They don't want to post things online and be showy. So you can get ahead of those people, and they will complain about it, and they'll say, well, I'm faster than you, I'm winning races. It's like, well, this is 2023, and these are the new rules, so either get with it, or you kind of like adapt or die kind of thing. So it's for you, it's there for the taking. It really is there for the taking. And it doesn't matter what your angle, whether you've just had your 3rd child and you're getting back and all what you want to do is run for a living. You can do that. You can appeal to brands and make it happen. For me, it was like, I'll send 1,000 emails to 1,000 brands and say, listen, I used to run when I was a kid. I've been running for 5 months. These are my times so far. This is my target, and this is what I want to do. Are you interested? It took me 2.5 years to have good enough times to be winning enough races, to be getting enough exposure. And then Instagram came along, I think 2014, 2015, but it was certainly Twitter in 2014, 2013. I gathered enough momentum that I got my first sponsor in 2013. And then I was able to say, right, okay, I've saved up enough, and this is the most important point. You've got to give yourself breathing space. So you've got to save up with your current job, live like a monk, save everything you possibly can, and give yourself a period of 9 to 12 months where you don't need to worry about your mortgage or your rent or your food or your electricity bill or whatever. You can just focus on getting better at running. Don't make the mistake that I made, which was thinking that I've got all this time available because I'm not running, so I could put that all into running more kilometers or running more miles, and then you get injured. Being able to be a full-time runner means that you can take your recovery serious and take your rest serious, and you can really hit the sessions hard on the midweek interval session and the weekend long run, and you can be doing all the little bits like the mobility, the stretching, the strength, and all the recovery techniques, the ice baths, the saunas, etc. You can be doing all that and all those little 1% gains that you get in order to be the very best runner that you can be, and you can give yourself those 10,000 hours much quicker because you're not having to do a full-time job. Try it. If you've got any questions, if you want to know more about the way I did it, then please get in touch and comment what you really want to do below. And as I said, think about it, because it is not for everybody. It's a lonely pursuit. It's a lonely pursuit as a runner. Yes, you get to race with other people, but 99% of the time, my training's alone, which I'm fine with because I'm a bit of a loner anyway. And for me, it builds mental strength, which is perfect for ultra running, but it's not for everybody. And when you live in from short contract to short contract, for some people, there's a lot of anxiety comes with that. And they prefer to be in a job in a country that has a welfare system that they're not going to get fired very easily for not winning races or getting injured or something like that. That's the stuff that you've got. That's the bad side that you've got to put up with. And you've got to realize it's part of the game of being what most kids want to be, which is a professional athlete. That's the most proud that I am to say that. It used to be like that. I used to be pretty proud to say I'm a recruitment consultant. You know, the harder I work, the smarter I work, the more I get paid, and I'm happy with that. I'm even more proud to say I'm a professional athlete, and I get to wake up in the morning and I get to do what I love and I get paid for it. I could not be more proud to say that, and I will always have that period in my life that I was super proud of. And as my friend said to me quite recently, this is the warm-up now for the rest of your life, and what a cracking life it's going to be moving forward, because you've built up all those skills in running that very, very, very nicely transfer over into a great business career or great work career, whatever you want to do. Good luck, and as I said, any questions, please put them in the comments below. Peace.